welcome back. So, January 2024 has come to a close, so why not talk about some albums that came out in January 2024 about 6 to 7 days late. So, I have a few records that I'm going to discuss here, and why I decided as well is that usually January is kind of a smaller, kind of scant kind of month when it comes to music releases. I decided to throw in one more album to discuss that I've been bumping so heavy in rotation for the past couple of days, and I need to share it because I've had so much fun with this record. But we're going to start off with probably the best release of the year so far, and I'm just going to put Benny for this. And it is Benny the Butcher with Everybody Can't Go. So this is Griselda's most palatable and most mainstream appealing album that we have heard in a little bit, probably ever since Burden of Proof that came out in like 2020 or 2021 from Benny the Butcher as well. That's not to say it's a bad thing though, because this album is polished, it is well crafted, and it has some really, really good tracks on it. Benny brings the charisma, brings the flows, and brings the bars as he usually does. It really just shows that Benny has the most versatility when it comes to the Griselda label. Buffalo Kitchen Club is still my favorite track with Armani Caesar. You do get the great mix of, again, those really palatable, kind of mainstream, trappy, kind of old school hip hop sounds that you've gotten across multiple Griselda records. But then you also get the grittiness that is kind of the trademark Griselda sound across this album. So if you're looking actually for a good introductory piece into the Griselda kind of label, honestly, Everybody Can't Go is a pretty good start. And I gave this album, I think, an 8 out of 10, and I think it still stands. And what I'm going to try to do this year is that a lot of the times, albums from January to March often go at the wayside when it comes to year-end lists. So I want to make sure to keep revisiting these records in the first couple of months, because oftentimes these great records that could be in those top 5, top 10 conversations fall all the way down because of the amount of time that we've had with multiple different records. So I don't want to do that this year. I want to give time to everything. So with that, this is an artist probably you have never heard of, and I'm glad that I found it so that way I can share it. So this is an artist known as rubyred, and this is his debut album, Business Casual. I found this album scrolling through Album of the Year. This person has 1,000 monthly listeners, but I can see it growing over the next couple of years. If you like the sounds of Juice WRLD and kind of that moodier trap sound, you'll really like this album. rubyred does carry himself very well across a debut album. It's not to the point where it overstays its welcome. It comes in and then it just leaves at the perfect time to where it doesn't get stale. It's a very good debut album. It does have some problems. Sometimes the sound cannot be the greatest. The sound mixing and the sound quality sometimes isn't there. But when this album hits, and it's a lot of the time, you can get some of the catchiest songs that are probably from this year so far, and probably some of the catchier songs from last year too. My favorite tracks from this thing are Over Here and Over There, which is the intro track. I really like Connoisseur, which is the second track, and then Hibernate is another great track. They're all sprinkled throughout this record. So if you're looking for a very nice underground kind of rage, trap kind of sound, I really recommend rubyred. And again, I can see this artist growing within the next few years if the consistency and the quality continues to keep building up. So this next record is not hip hop, and I hope I'm gonna get this title right. I think it's To the People. I'm not gonna write the whole thing out, so I'll just do this. So the title is To the People Who Aren't There Anymore, and it's from the band called Future Islands. So this is the first time I've ever heard of Future Islands, but man, is this record fantastic. If you're looking for some indie alternative rock that has a lot of synths into it, has a very immaculate sound. Everything sounds so crisp. You hear everything in the mix. It's probably one of the best sounding records I've heard this year so far. And the vocalist has a very distinct, and it's a very, I don't know how to kind of describe it. It's a very distinct voice, but it really punches through all the instruments, and it's very just, I guess, elegant per se. It does sound very British, but the singing in this is so, it's a mix of like being kind of understated but also being very showy, and it kind of just mixes so well together across this entire album. My favorite tracks on here, I believe it's The Swedish King. I think it's the first track. I'm not the greatest with title names because I did just found this album maybe a couple days ago. And The Corner of My Eye. The corner of my eye is around the middle portion of the record. That song is absolutely fantastic. This album, I threw it on, just let it run the whole way through. So I didn't get a lot of track titles, but man, just the first album listening experience of this thing is absolutely incredible. And I can definitely see this staying in my top 10, even the top 5 list. So Future Islands to the people who aren't there anymore. Great, great, great album. Also, the album cover is fantastic. So that's kind of all the albums I had to talk about in 2024. But now we move on to 2023. And I literally found this album maybe about 2 days ago. And my goodness, I have listened to this thing way more times than I can count. So this is Ramzoid, and this is his debut album known as SAUNA. This came out, I believe, on December 15th or 16th of last year. This album is, I can't even describe it. It is futuristic. It is catchy as hell. And it is booming. It's explosive. It feels like druggy in a way. There's so many words that I can describe this album. Not to mention, it's only about 20 minutes long. And you get some of the catchiest songs that I have heard across both years now at this point with Boo Hoo. Your Armor Will Not Protect Me Anymore. There's this track, Factory Reset, or Press Reset. All these tracks, listening the whole way through, if you're looking for an amazing thrill ride that has these amazing moments of electronica, these amazing moments of hip-hop, these moments of rage, there's so many things mixed into this. It just sounds absolutely fantastic. And for 20 minutes, you get a lot of bang for your buck. This is one of my favorite. If I found this in 2023, this probably would have been in my top 5. I cannot talk about this record enough. My favorite track, it's really hard to pick, but it may be Boo Hoo. The chorus is infectious. It's catchy. It will get stuck in your head for days. And another one is that Your Armor Will Not Protect Me Anymore. That one is a little bit more of a slower pace, but the bass and the kicks, it just sounds so nasty. It sounds so disgusting in the best way possible. So Ramzoid with SAUNA. So this is all of the albums that I listened to in January 2024. What were the albums that you listened to? Leave a comment of some of your favorite releases. I know there was the Caliuchis record that I need to dive into more. There were some really terrible records from January 2024 as well. I mean, it's kind of like movies where January is like the ghost month where everything sucks. But this was a pretty decent month. So again, leave comments about your favorites, and I will talk to you again soon. Peace out.